Hey everyone, this is Mike Andes, and you're listening to the Business Bootcamp Podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about a syndrome you've never heard before. I call it NSTS. It's called the new shiny thing syndrome. It's something I feel a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners are suffering from, and I'm going to be talking about today. Before we get into today's show, though, a big thank you to today's sponsor, Gusto. Gusto has stepped up in a big way, even in the past week, to really support the show, support the new studio that we are building so that we can put video and more content for Business Bootcamp Podcast, and I want to say a big thank you to them. I do not get paid extra if you go and use this trial. It's definitely, they just give me a blank amount of money and then give me this URL. So take advantage of this URL. Go to gusto.com/bootcamp. They only give it to us and our podcast listeners. So go to gusto.com/bootcamp. You're going to get a 90-day free trial, not the 30-day that you usually get on the website from their main page. This is 90 days free trial, and I promise you, when you're done the trial, you'll love the software so much that the fee that they charge will be absolutely worth it, and it's the best bang for your buck when it comes to payroll, benefits, and employee software tracking. Like, this is the stuff you want to be on. If you have employees, I highly recommend you check it out, and if at all, if at the very least, do it for me, because they have sponsored and helped the show so much so I can answer more questions, and they are helping us with the financing of the new studio, the video studio, coming up here in just several months. So check that out. Go to gusto.com/bootcamp. Now, today we're talking about what I call the NSTS, the new shiny thing syndrome. There's two different areas I want to talk about when it comes to this syndrome. And what the syndrome is it's an entrepreneurial issue that I find we have, and I say we because I have the same problem, and that is that we go from one thing to the next. We are always looking for the new thing. We never take time to actually settle down, grow our roots, build pillars within our business, and are constantly looking for the new, next shiny thing. I find so many young entrepreneurs, especially young males, coming out of college, and I can say that because I am that, and they come out of college and have so many great ideas. They are, they have a lot of pent-up energy, a lot of pent-up entrepreneurial energy because they've come out of school, and they are gung-ho, and they have a million ideas, and they fail to realize that it takes patience and hard work in order to make those ideas a reality. And so what has been glamorized has been the idea of a business, the idea of a marketing plan, the idea of a business plan, and what has been forgotten about is that it takes years of implementation, hard work, dedication, figuring things out, humbling yourself, figuring out things you've never done before, and doing that every day, 24/7, 365, year after year after year. And so the problem is that people get into a year, 2 years, 3 years, and all of a sudden, because they have this entrepreneurial bug, they start looking for the next shiny thing. They start looking for the new business, the new cool and improved, the hot trend of the day. Right now it might be social media, selling social media services. It might be, creating an agency or doing video for other businesses. That is the new hot, shiny thing for millennials. And you might not be a millennial, you might be older, but you constantly are trying to come up with new ideas and different business ideas, different ways of creating other companies, when you need to stop and focus on the business that you currently have. What I find so often is that people fall, like an egg, like you think about a chicken egg, that chicken egg has to sit underneath the hen in order for it to hatch. There has to be the right amount of temperature and nutrients, and there has to be, there's a process that has to be followed in order for that chicken egg to hatch. And if you take that egg out from underneath that hen, it will not hatch. And so what I find for entrepreneurs is we get off the egg too fast. Yes, it's because it's cool and we think we have great ideas, and maybe those ideas are great, but we fail to remember that we have to sit on the egg long enough. We have to have patience long enough. We have to warm that business that you've created, that small little business just starting out. You have to sit on it and warm it and constantly give it attention and feed it and make sure it has all the nutrients and follows systems and procedures in order to get to the place where it finally hatches. And my problem with the entrepreneurial NSTS, the new shiny thing syndrome, is that we get off the egg too fast. 2, 3, 4 years, people hop off the egg and go find the new shiny thing because they have a disease called NSTS, and they go find the new shiny thing, and that business never hatches. It never becomes something great. It never takes a life of its own. It never has any sort of strength of its own to move or grow or thrive or begin to go out and attack and achieve and become something. It never even hatches. And so what I'd really encourage you, because I know my audience skews to a younger audience, but this goes for all entrepreneurs, is focus on the pillar. Focus on the first thing in your entrepreneurial journey. Focus on the one thing that is going to fund everything else. All right, then you can go play after that. All right, and my problem is that I'm fairly young, and people will start to look at me now and say, okay, well, you have the lawn care business, and then you have the handyman services, then you have the gym, then you have the podcast, then you have this online course thing. Now you have a studio, and they begin to look at what I've done and say, oh, well, that's the recipe for success, is doing a whole bunch of things and just being kind of like the way I am in terms of like scattered, always going in 100 different directions. And in truth and in reality, that's not how it started. Okay? I started with a landscaping business, started mowing lawns when I was 11 years old, and I built that business to the point where it spit out enough cash to fund the other things I was doing. So that's what funded the podcast being able to start. It allowed me to have enough money to be able to provide for myself so that I could create content at night. I did that, did the podcast, made a book, began to do the whole content thing. I bought a gym, started an online course, did the video thing, started to sell the course, did a conference, starting a studio now. Like, there's a process, but it all goes back to one thing. I sat on the egg of lawn care and landscaping for several years until it became profitable enough for me to go and play and try other things. And if I would have jumped and bailed after year 2 or 3 and just taken, a couple $100,000 or something like that from someone that wanted to buy it from me, that would have been a mistake. Because no longer would I have the cash flow to fund all the things I continue to do now. All right? So I'd really encourage you, if you have the NSTS, the new shiny thing syndrome, focus on one thing. Maybe that's not the thing you're passionate about. Maybe it's not the thing you love. Maybe it's not the thing that makes you tick and shine and be your best self, but make sure that you focus on the thing you're doing now to the point where it becomes a financial pillar that holds up the building of your financial life, allowing you to play underneath that building and do other things. And maybe that next thing you do is closer to your passion. Maybe the thing you do after that is even closer. Then you become the thing that you love and are super passionate about and could do 24/7 all the time without being paid. The thing you love to do that you're passionate about. But many times, it's not going to start there. Your journey doesn't start there. That is the destination, but to get there, it's a long journey. All right, so be patient, stay on the egg. To follow that analogy, it's like a small little fire. Don't walk away from the fire because it's not blazing hot. It takes some care and attention, blowing on it, putting some kindling on it, putting some newspaper on it, a little bit of making sure that the wind doesn't blow it out. It takes care, attention, time, energy, patience. Don't walk away from the little fire you've already started. I'd encourage you to build that fire up to a blaze to where it pumps off enough heat for you to leave it for a while and go start other fires. For you to allows you to leave your business, you are able to leave economics on the table so that you can leave that business as generating heat, it's growing, it's thriving, it's hatched, it's beginning to grow in and of itself, has a life of its own. Then you can go leave and build other fires. All right. The next shiny thing that people are always chasing after, in my opinion, when it comes to small business owners, is the next shiny customer. And when it comes to this, it comes to marketing and advertising and customer acquisition. I just heard a video recently of someone I greatly admire in my industry, but I feel that individual talks way too much about customer acquisition. And when they talk about growing your business, they talk about the leads. And okay, if you want to, double the size of your business, you need to figure out how to double the amount of leads that come in. And in my mind, that is the wrong game to play. It's an expensive game. It's not sustainable. What's much more sustainable, what's much more cost effective and going to give a higher profit margin is going to be, instead of focusing on the new shiny customer, the next shiny customer out there that doesn't know you right now, focus on the customers that you've already done business for. Focus on your process of getting a lead to convert to a customer. I promise you, you're leaving much more money on the table of leads that do not convert to customers. I promise that is costing you a whole lot more than people that don't know you to become leads. We get so focused on the top of the funnel, we forget that there is a funnel and that we are losing a massive percentage of people inside of that funnel. Once people know about your business, raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested, and fill out a lead form or email you or contact you. They are a warm lead. They must be nurtured. They must be cultivated. They must be cared for. And the customer experience they have must be fanatically obsessed about. If you're going to make a customer-centric business that is going to make warm leads consistently buy from you, and that the lifetime value of your customer far exceeds and supersedes any monetary value that is gained by having new customers and people that don't know about you to become prospects and become leads and to finally call you. It costs a lot of money to get customers. It's called customer acquisition cost. And everyone raves about customer acquisition costs, and they talk about how they can make it better and get more leads and more clicks and get better conversion ratios. And they failed to remember that the most important thing they could do, the low-hanging fruit, the best thing you could do is focus on the customer you've already created. How do you create a newsletter to make sure you keep those leads warm and cultivate them and let them know about your services and your offerings and about your team and your business and how it's developing and draw them in? How do you make that customer that raises their hand and says, hey, I am interested in your services. I'm going to fill out a contact form. I'm going to take 2 and 3 minutes of my time to fill this contact form out, and hopefully you get an estimate back to me. But yet we are so focused on getting the new shiny customer out in the universe to know about us and come to our website and click through that we fail to take that person that has clicked through and has taken the 2 and 3 minutes and filled out the contact form, and we fail to give them an experience worth buying. We fail to create a system that follows up with them and make sure they actually go from being just a lead and actually become a paying customer. And once they become a paying customer, we make sure that we have a system in place that is going to consistently upsell them. And once they go cold, it's going to bring them back into the system and recycle that lead and make sure that that warm lead stays warm and becomes hot time and time again. I highly encourage you, if you have NSTS and are constantly looking after the new, looking out and trying to always think about the next business you're going to create, think about the next customer you're going to have, the next big contract, the next big break that your business is going to have. And you're always chasing the new shiny thing, the new shiny piece of equipment that's going to change your business, the new shiny employee that is going to completely revolutionize your business, the new shiny acquisition that once you make that acquisition, it's going to completely change your business. Constantly looking after the new shiny thing and failing to realize that instead of going after the new shiny employee, you need to focus on the employees that you have and cultivate them and keep them engaged and make sure that you're investing in them and educating them and training them. Instead of going after the new shiny thing in your business, the equipment, you should be investing in making sure that you are lean and that equipment is being operating at its full capacity at the maximum amount of time lean as possible. Instead of going after the new shiny marketing piece, the next every door direct mail piece, or the next Google AdWord, instead of spending the money on that Google AdWord to go after that new shiny customer, focus on spending that money on Mr. Jones that has spent thousands of dollars with you year after year, and if you would give that money to him in the form of a gift or a personal note or maybe a personal visit or a personal dinner, that would absolutely have a far greater ROI, much more dependable ROI, and you'd create relationships with customers. Because by the way, customers will stay with you and they will be loyal to you through recessions, through economic hardship, through competition battering you. They will stay with you if you do one thing, and that's create a relationship. And going after the new shiny customers, one very good way to discourage your warm leads, to discourage the existing customers you have and tell them they are not worth anything because you are more interested in the new shiny customer than the ones that have stayed true to you, the ones that have paid your bills, and the ones that have kept the lights on. This is something I think about a lot with our gym that I've had for about 6-7 months now. Because we are obviously always trying to always trying to attract new leads, trying to get new people to buy memberships to the gym. But at the same time, I don't want our social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, etc., to always be pushing just new lead information, constantly pushing sales and promotions and trying to get people to buy and doing all. I want those advertisements, quote unquote, those newsletters, those emails, those Facebook ads, those posts. I want to be creating content. I want to be able to create value for my existing customers. That comes for the gym in the form of in-club challenges, in-club giveaways, not promoting it as for new members. It is for internal. We are telling our customers, we are telling our members of our club that they are important to us, and we're not going to spend all our time on going out and getting customers. Customer acquisition must come second to customer experience. We get so caught up on the new shiny thing and customer acquisition, we fail to focus on the thing that actually converts leads into paying customers, and that is customer experience. If you have a question for me on how to start, grow, or save your business, or you have NSTS, and you're constantly chasing that new, the next, the shiny thing, and you have this syndrome, I want to hear from you. I want to help. Email me at businessbootcamppodcast@gmail.com. I'm Mike Andes. You've been listening to Business Bootcamp Podcast. Until next time, be great, because nothing else pays.